that CAC is still a brand that people can identify with. And you have to make sure that it remains that brand. That is part of the loyalty. I've been to BPE, and to a very large extent, it's now a shadow of itself. And I was talking to them, I mentioned to them, in those days of El-Rufai, people were proud to say, where do you work? I work in BPE. And it was a place everybody wants to go into. I doubt if that is still the case. I doubt it. Why is it so? Because people are not capable of reinventing the wheel. Maybe there's a leadership that's not capable of trying to reason out of the box and raise the bar and obviously attain standards that will still maintain that brand and keep the brand going, regardless of if there are some other agencies that are taking away a chunk from what used to be their corporate responsibilities. So you must maintain your brand. For you to remain efficient and for you to remain relevant and important in the scheme of things, you must. It's part of loyalty. You've seen people leave office, as far as immediately they cross the gate, they attack. They put it in their pocket. They are not proud of where they work. But there are some other people, even if they are going into the bus or any other place, they want to wear it. Do you know where I work? I work at CAC. They are proud. Yes. That's loyalty to your organization. It doesn't come without a price. The price it comes with is what you are invited to do. To improve in your work ethics, to show commitment, to show enthusiasm. And of course, to participate in trying to fulfill the visions and mission statement that I read coming up. And of course, identifying with your core values, quality objectives of this commission. That is what is expected of you if truly you want to show loyalty to your organization. It comes with a price. It comes with commitment. It comes with your being punctual. It comes with honesty. It comes with following due process. It comes with discipline. A whole lot of discipline. It comes with subordinating yourself to superior authorities. Not because of who the person is, but because of the office the person occupies. That's one thing that coming up the ladder you must learn. Respect an office. Don't respect the person sitting in that office. It's the office. If God puts somebody there, you respect that office. And I always tell people that, look, you are not fit to be in an organization if you can never dream that one day you sit on the highest table. You are not fit to be in that organization. If you cannot dream that one day I can sit on this saddle, you are not supposed to be here. But how do you get there? You don't get there by lackadaisical attitude, by not doing things you are supposed to do. When you learn, you know. If you don't learn, you cannot apply when you get to quote and unquote the promised land. You cannot. You learn. You learn. So that is part of loyalty to organization. We talk about initiative, novelty. People now think of thinking out of the box. Well, for most people, especially lawyers, it's normal. When you stand on your feet, you think. Because there's anything that can come your way, your reaction is that you are thinking out of the box. It's not something you imagine. Whether there's a question coming from the bench or anything, you learn to think out of the box. But which is more important, thinking out of the box, or the fact that people these days are now trying to draw a line of distinction, a dichotomy between working hard and working smart. Working hard and working smart. I never knew about this. My daughter mentioned that to me. I'm teaching my daughter who just completed her PhD in law in Warwick University. So anytime I tell her that I'm going to do this talk, do people still work hard? People don't work hard these days, they work smart. And I've tried to rationalize the distinction between working hard and working smart. In many places they try to draw that distinction, but it's always a distinction without a difference. Because I believe that there's an element of objectivity in working smart. Working smart is geared towards productivity. Working hard is also geared towards productivity. But which is the shortest cut to that productivity? Is working smart. So they are both the same thing, but one takes you faster to your destination than the other. So I enjoin you as well to also think of how to work smart, whilst we are also preaching work ethics. Because you can work smart in many ways. You can work smart by putting out a lot of reports and reports and reports. That is working hard in that direction. But in the sense that you're able to put about 5 or 6 reports at a time means that you're also working hard. So these are issues that we cannot gloss over. And of course, I've talked about initiative, novelty, and this idea of being creative to a very large extent. Not just being creative for yourself, being creative in a way that you can also advise the leadership above you. That this is what I think about an issue. How do we go about it? Let it be on record that you have said it, and then. But the search of loyalty above also should attend so many other things that we talk about. The search of loyalty should attend the promotion of staff, either through examinations or interviews. I don't know what the practice is here. The search for loyalty to an organization will also not be disconnected from pecuniary considerations, but it must not be centered on that. There should also be higher values of service, dedication, and pursuit of excellence in what you do. A staff must demonstrably show commitment to the organization. A staff demonstrably must show commitment to the organization. So I've talked about this philosophy of my papa's job. I've talked about the issue of punctuality and discipline. Now let me address another one that I know will also be applicable to you because you work sectorially and you work zonally, as the case may be. Team play. Team play. We must all learn to be team players. We must all learn to be team players because we know some MDAs, including commissions of this nature, they work in clusters here and there. People man offices and occupy them, and when assignments are given, maybe 3 or 4, 5 or 6, up to 10 people will be saying, go and do this. Go and put up a report on this, go and do this, go and do that. Automatically, you are bound to work as a team. How well can people work in groups as a team and still achieve productivity, optimal productivity for that matter? We've noticed over a period of time that many people find it difficult to work in such clusters for one reason or the other. What are the operational reasons? One, you have the challenge of people not being prepared to, anybody can be. It's your discretion. The RG may determine that, look, you chair that committee. Purely discretion. Purely. And you don't have any basis. Because from the commanding high, somebody will think that this person will drive it better than you, than any other person. So that is not the issue. Who is chairing is not the issue. It's the work. So the person driving it is 1, 2. The issue of ego. So many people cannot work together. But we must break that change. People can work together. People can work together. I always tell people, in Israel they disagreed with me, but in NTA they agreed with me. In Nimasa they also agreed with me. Amongst the other places I've been to, I don't care whether you say good morning to each other in the morning. That's not my business. I don't care. You can all go to hell. How you relate personally is not my business. I want my job done. I want my job done. Just give me my report. And you can live your life the way you want in the office. That for me is teamwork. I want my report. I want my result. You are inter-social life, you are inter-social interplay and every other thing. It's not my business. But what does that mean in effect? Is that we are prepared to subdue and subordinate our personal feelings as regards other members of the committee in order to drive the process and achieve the result that we want to achieve. That is what teamwork is all about. So we must learn to do so. But more often than not, getting people who ordinarily do not agree with one another to work in a team helps to bring them back together. That also has been seen or proven to work. Because when they are actuated by the same higher values or motive to achieve results, they will throw away their differences and come together to work. Unless you're a team player, our work ethics is bound to be poor. It must be poor unless you're a team player. Unless you're a team, and team play means trying to also seek the opinion of other members of the staff. It's not only in academia where we come from that is done. And you write a paper and you can be a professor for many years, you write a paper and you give to a junior lecturer that just come in, say, can you look at this paper for me? We do that a lot in the academia. It is also applicable here. Can you do a report and say, my friend, just look at this report? You don't see everything. And I bet you don't. In short, you are the last person to see the mistakes you have made. You are the last person. That I'm talking from the editorial point of view. I've been an editor of many journals all over the years. You are the last person that can, because what your mind says that you wrote is what you continue seeing. But somebody else will just look at it and just notice one word that is missing here and there. So again, these are all indices that will urge us to work as a team. We don't need to go into the other nuances, but occasionally I say this because it's something that I heard in office, not way before I became a director general myself. In short, Professor Ayua was director general before Professor Gobadia, before I took over. So you can imagine talking about almost 12 years before me. I was invited by Professor Ayua to see him, so I was rushing into his office. And I noticed that the secretary, the PA, and the cat and dog. So when they were just shouting on each other. When I got into his office, I told Professor Ayua, this is what is going on outside. What is happening? And he laughed and said, Prof, I am safer that way. He said, I am safer that way. When the people around me are quarreling, it means they cannot gang up against me. I've never forgotten that. I never imbibed it or tried to use it, but I just noted it. And from time to time, I asked myself, this man may be right, you know. So my domestic staff, when they become so cozy, I get worried. I remember Professor Ayua said, these people can plan against me. So again, that is for teamwork. So that's why we say, don't worry whether they are cozy or not. What you want is their report. Reward system. It is difficult to talk about work ethics without talking about the reward system. It's difficult. Because one motivates the other to a very large extent. It's out of the ordinary for you to imagine that it is non-existent, that people will continue working without doing. Proper regard must be given to the reward system which appreciates work ethics. There's no two way about it. Promotion, capacity training, office appreciation through merit awards, other forms of recognition and higher responsibility. As I got to NTA, and I said, look, I want to address the staff. I was invited by the DG. And he said, go to the post-mortem room. I said, what again is post-mortem? But by the time I got in, I now realized that every week, the zonal officers and what have you, the director, the commanding heights will always meet to review the activities of the week and plan for the coming week. So that is their post-mortem. That's what, and they named the place Postmortem. In their postmortem room, I saw, oh, what's her name? Some of these, they are newscasters. I don't remember their name. Oh, the best newscaster for the year, so. The best, this, that. All in the postmortem room. So just sitting down, you will just see it. That is a form of reward system. You know, when your merit is recognized, even if it does not come with pecuniary rewards, it's something. Tomorrow you will mention it to your children with a lot of satisfaction. That in a particular year I was this. You bring out a certificate, you bring out this, you bring out that. So it is not only money. In some instances, it's tied with money. In my time, if you are the best XYZ, I put an amount to it. Just to motivate people amongst others. So these are some of lack of issue of recognition, initiative, commitment, and what have you. Promotion out of turn has proved a veritable reward system. In public service, that may be impossible. But we keep suggesting that any civil service or public service that is tied to every 3 years you are qualified for examination or interview, in order for you to be promoted, misses the point somewhere along the line. That's my own opinion. And I am leading that advocacy. It's my opinion. It's not. When somebody has done exceptionally well, excellently well, I will promote you out of turn. I'll promote you out of turn. It will send a signal to others that hard work pays as well. It will send a signal. But a situation where whether you work hard or you don't work hard, we're all there, waiting for 3 years or 2 years as the case may be, and then we all go for a same examination. Even in that examination, some people will even pass who are not supposed to pass. So that we must not lose sight of promotion out of turn. The time will come, if we are serious-minded as a people and as a nation, we must have that at the back of our mind going forward so that we don't lose what we are supposed to. The same way, a system that exempts staff from promotion or interview. If done so well, I don't need to. If done so well, I don't need to. Subject you to interview examination. It's purely discretion of the Director General of the Registrar General, as the case may be. I don't know whether that can obtain here, but I did it, and I did it effectively at the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. I did it. You have done so. It is my discretion, and I exercised it. And why should that be the case? Because we still want to motivate people. The concept of wage earning is another one that we cannot run away from. Wage earning. Wage earning. Out there, people think that you are so well remunerated. I don't know what inside you think, but across that gate, that is the general impression. Whichever way you look at it, it means that whatever is in is better than what obtains somewhere else around the scheme of things. It may not be that it can compare with what is happening in some other private institutions, but it is not as terribly bad as one can think of when you talk about the ministries and other departments and agencies. So why wouldn't that engender proper work ethics? Why wouldn't that engender proper work ethics amongst the staff of this commission? Now, dignity of labor. Dignity of labor. I've talked about lack of fulfillment or satisfaction, as the case may be. I've talked about somebody who had to retire or resign from from CBN, because the person was not getting satisfaction. And you can imagine how well CBN pays, but somebody, a lawyer, to resign because 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, there's nothing on the table, no file to attend to. So what do you expect the person to do? Collect the money and rot away, or take the bold decision to go and look for a much more engaging job somewhere else, no matter how poorly remunerated it may be. So these are some of the issues that will confront and challenge us from time to time. But the key thing is that work ethics must be improved upon, and we must have an idea. Dignity of labor may not be applicable to those of you here, but we must be proud of the work we do. Matthew, we've already indicated that part of the national ethics as encapsulated in the Constitution in section 23 is that national ethics should be founded on discipline, integrity, self-reliance, patriotism, amongst others. So dignity of labor is clearly and specifically mentioned by the Constitution. We must be proud of what we do at any point in time. When I was running the Abuja and the Lagos office, I go to Lagos almost every morning, Monday morning. I work in Lagos for 4 days at the University of Lagos office of the Advanced Legal Studies and come back on Thursday or Friday, as the case may be. I like the sight of seeing those women who, in order to catch a 7 o'clock flight, I must be at the airport at about 6 o'clock, which means I leave home at about 5:30 to get to the airport. And at that time, you see that those women cleaning the streets of Abuja, they are almost rounding up. Those women don't live in the city center. They come from the suburbs. So you ask yourself, when do they get into the city? And to have started their work and to have almost gotten to completion even before 6 o'clock. That for me is dignity of labor. They are happy, they are proud of what they are doing. Whatever stipends they are getting from it is immaterial. It may put food on their table. But the point is that they do it with relish. They do it with a lot of dignity. And that is the dignity of labor that we are talking about. There are so many Nigerians that are not proud of what they are doing. And that is the mindset that we must change. It's the narrative that must change as well. Whatever it is you do. And so in our little corners in the villages, no mind them, come build house. And because they wash cups for mortuary, now they make money. That is balderdash. Important thing that he earned that money. He didn't even steal the money. The dignity around him is much more than those who loot money and they are doing whatever they like with our commonwealth. So we must have that. And in other climes, people do it. But I've seen places in Nigeria where you are coming and somebody that knows you will turn around, waiting for you to pass because he doesn't want to be identified because he's doing a particular job. Wrong. Wrong. No matter who you are, wrong. We don't need to talk about those. A good number of you have been there. If you go to London in the morning, peak of winter, you see people who are cleaning in the tube stations, doing certain things in the peak of winter. And they're doing it with smiles on their faces. Dignity of labor. Dignity of labor. We can never run away from that fact. But these are norms and values, and they are higher values that seem to have evaporated from our climb, and that we must restore. And we cannot do better than making sure that whatever we say here trickles down to those who are not here with us. Because you people will tell them that this is what is supposed to be. And it continues to replicate as we go forward. Performance evaluation standard. How do you evaluate yourself? In some places, I perform. In ministries and some other places, they feel I perform periodically. Then, of course, your boss is expected to comment on it. But again, I expect that here, considering the way, the structure, that you also allow to make your own comments. You cannot say that I'm a stupid man and you put it in the file and you don't want me to comment whether I'm a stupid man or not. I should have my say in that particular form. So most of those forms, you know that there's a column where you have to react. So is that the only way you evaluate yourself? Are there other ways that you have invented to evaluate yourself, one way or the other? What are the bosses doing about that? There are some discerning assessments that cannot be distilled from reports or any other thing. It's your boss that will determine whether you're punctual, whether you are competent, whether you're efficient, and so on and so forth. Whether you are committed to the vision of the commission, it's only your boss that can say so. Because sits quietly with you and observes. It's only your boss that will determine whether what are challenges you have at home, either as a married woman or as a married man, affects what you do in the office, which is not supposed to be. And that is, for me, is a stage of maturity. When you don't carry your wahala from house to the office, it's a stage of maturity. It's a serious stage of maturity. You keep what happens in Las Vegas in Las Vegas. And then you come to work, you can keep the most blossoming face, but people would not know that you have been beaten so badly by your husband the night before. But you keep smiling to everybody that comes across. And if there's any damage somewhere, you wear your sunshade. Nobody cares what the sunshade is, even when there is no light in the room. But it's the stage of maturity. It's not something we pray for. Domestic violence is something that we preach against. But let it not be an excuse. The work must go on. There are so many lenient bosses. If you discuss with them quietly, they can even cover you up. They can give you time off to do certain things. The higher bosses will not get to know. But again, it depends on who you are and how well you have carried on over a period of time. How well have you carried on? I tell my staff, when in those days, I used to tell them that, look, you are as good as you make yourself. But you are at best when, even at my level, I think that the office is grinding to a halt because you are not available. If you are not in that situation where your boss will think that the office will not grind to a halt, then there's something fundamentally wrong. Make yourself that important and relevant. Make yourself that important and relevant so that when you are not there, I know how many times I've stopped people from going on leave. I stop you from going on leave because you are that important to me. I stop you from going on leave. First year, second year, you are not going anywhere. Because I know that wherever I'm in the world, I'm in touch with you, and the work is going on. Wherever I am in the world, I am working with my office. The work is going on. I'm putting out policy statement and getting reports. Putting out policy statement to the extent that I fly in from Heathrow in the morning, I just barely drop my luggage, I'm straight to the office. And that's one thing my staff will never come to terms with. But if you don't do it that way, occasionally, you'll find that people don't get to assimilate all this that we're talking about. You must get them to assimilate it one way or the other. We talked about performance evaluation. We've also talked about issues that may be included: punctuality, summary of work done on a daily basis, honesty, integrity, innovations, creativity, importance, courage, and patriotism. Monitoring. Well, I don't know how much of external work you do. Even at that, if there's some external work that people do, they have to be monitored. People must be included to monitor them, again, to make sure that those things are done very well, even if it is not externally, internally. When you want anything done, make sure that there's a time lag attached to it. I want this in 2 weeks. That is another mistake. Go and do this for me. It's not a complete assignment. Go and do this for me. I want it back in 1 week. Deep down, you know it cannot be accomplished in 1 week. You'll be amazingly surprised to see that it's done within 1 week. But you ordinarily, your back of mind, you know that 2 weeks is a fair deal. But if they do it in 1 week, then you know that they are exceptionally hardworking. And they put in a lot into it. So, again, that is another way of driving people to an extent that they can do their work and do it effectively. So, the bottom line of all this is that starting from the top to the bottom, everybody in an organization is very important. even that cleaner, even that messenger must and should have a smile on the face, depending on how he or she is